Hi, I'm Lynn, and welcome back to Elizabeth Ann Can Fart. These lunatics. I was trying to get my sisters to help me film my intro, and this is what I got.
Can't snitch over there. Elizabeth Ann can't snitch.
Yeah, okay. Welcome back, guys. Hi, Flosstube. Good morning, and welcome to my Saturday. Let's make some breakfast. Hi guys, good morning, happy Saturday. I thought I would do my Flosstube a little bit differently today and try and do a little vlog of my day and include all of my normal Flosstube bits in there. So I've got FFOs, finishes, whips, I've got haul, and I've got to do the giveaways from last video. So I've got all of my normal Flosstube stuff. I'm just gonna do it in a slightly different format because I like trying new things on these videos sometimes. So welcome to Saturday morning. What is today? The 25th, I think, of Saturday. I'll probably publish this on Sunday, but welcome to the Flosstube. I'm gonna enjoy my little morning smoothie that hopefully I filmed. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm trying to vlog. I'm trying to teach myself. So hopefully this video turns out fun, but yeah, welcome to Saturday. Okay, it's been a couple hours. I'm in the craft room now. I was like trying to remind myself, I'm like, what is my normal Flosstube format and how do I fit it into this style of video? What have I been up to for the last 2 weeks? What have you guys been up to for the last 2 weeks? Work has been really, really busy. That's boring. I have not been sewing. I'll talk more about that later. In a video, in a segment of the video, I'll probably title Elizabeth Ann Can Fail at Quilt-alongs. And other than that, my sister Lynn came into town a few days ago with her husband and her daughters, and she's the one who lives in Dubai that my mom and I were talking about in my last video. So we had a little sister night last night that was so much fun. Cry. Are y'all just gonna say Elizabeth Ann Can fart in the background?
Yes! You're right, go wake up Andy. We need him.
Just, you know, laughing, them making fun of me. I tried to get my sister to do the intro. I'm sure you already saw that at the beginning of the video. Jonesy is currently running around the craft room and knocking my blinds around and knocking things off of shelves. Jonesy. Anyways, so lots of family stuff the past few days. What else? Anything else exciting? I don't think so. Not really. So let me start with a fully finished item. I finished my Blooming Tiny Town spool finish. And I just realized I didn't grab the pattern. Okay, I don't know where I put the pattern. But here it is finished for your viewing pleasure. I did the same finish that I did on my Valentine Tiny Town. So just as a reminder, this is a spool from Pete's Bee Skeps on Etsy. And you can also find Carolina Cross Stitcher on Instagram. She is the one who inspired me to do this finish. Her husband is Pete of Pete's Bee Skeps, and he makes these beautiful wooden spools. And she finished her Valentine Tiny Town on a spool, and I just was like, immediately knew that's what I wanted to do. So I bought one of their spools and I finished my Valentine previously, and then I told you guys I'm gonna finish Blooming Tiny Town and I'll do a tutorial. So I did. Good news, bad news. Good news, I did film myself doing this and I will show that to you. Bad news, I don't think I did that great of a job with the tutorial, which is why I didn't make it a standalone video, and I thought, let me just include it in my normal Flosstube so you guys can see. I mean, I think it'll still be helpful. I just don't think, I don't know, I kind of like messed up in parts and had to redo some stuff, and so I was like, let me just include this as a little finish with me style video in my normal Flosstube, how I sometimes do. And so that will help any of you guys out who are wanting to do this style of finish. I'll show you what I did. And then maybe when I finish my Christmas one, I'll make myself a little outline and a script and like actually film something that I can put up. So I stitch all of my tiny towns on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha, and I use all the called for colors, which is a lot of colors. So there's definitely some that you only use a little bit of that you could probably substitute the DMC and be totally fine. But I think I had most of them, or maybe I bought it kitted up. I don't remember, but I had all the colors, so I used them. And I think it turned out absolutely beautifully. So let me insert that finishing video right here. Hi everyone, welcome back to my craft table. So let's get started on our spool finish. I am going to go ahead and remove the one I've already made to use it as my reference point. First thing I'm going to do is figure out what accent fabric I want to use with my spring tiny town. I know I have a really pretty aqua version of this check, but I brought a whole slew of things over to look through to see what I want to use. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go with this really pretty kind of greeny yellow shade because I feel like it really matches the yellow of this house and really kind of brightens up the whole finished piece. So, okay, that's the fabric I'm gonna use. Let me set everything else aside. Okay, so while I'm sitting here at the table, I'm gonna get everything cut out that I need to get cut out. And I'm gonna start with my cross stitch piece. And yes, we will go to the ironing board and press this, but first I'm just gonna get everything cut out. So for right now, I am just going to leave about 1.5 inch margin, and we will cut this down a little bit, but we'll be more precise, I should say, in a minute, but I'm just trying to cut away from the rest of this linen because I can probably fit 2 more tiny towns on this fat quarter that I've been using. Okay, so before I cut this down any further, I'm gonna cut out a piece of interfacing. And this is just a lightweight fusible woven interfacing. This is Pellon SF101, but you can use any lightweight fusible interfacing you have on hand. I like to use interfacing on the back of my cross stitch finishes just to stabilize them for later steps where I'm sewing, you know, and turning them inside out and manipulating them a lot. So I really like to put stabilizer on the back of my cross stitch. So I am just going to cut out a rough shape to cover this, and then we will cut this piece down after we get the interfacing on and after this has been pressed. So this will end up getting fused to this. We'll take that over to the ironing board in a minute. Actually, I guess we should do that now because we'll want to know the finished size before we cut out our extra pieces of fabric. So let's go ahead and head to the ironing board with our cross stitch piece and our piece of interfacing. Okay, so when I'm ironing my cross stitch, I lay a white bath towel folded in half over my ironing board. And this just gives a slightly plusher surface for ironing cross stitch, so you're not just smashing your stitches straight into your hard ironing board. And so what I like to do is lay my cross stitch face down and give it a light spray with just plain water. I need to refill this, but this is just plain water in this little spray bottle. So just a light spray, and then I use a hot iron to just press down to get everything nice and flat and get all the wrinkles out. Then we flip it over and you can see how nice and pressed this is. So I do already have my buttons on, and so the towel also helps, kind of gives the button something to sink into when I'm pressing. And I just make sure I don't press too long over the buttons because I don't want to discolor them or melt them or do anything weird. So I just use a light hand over the buttons. So there's the cross stitch all pressed. And now let's add our interfacing. And so this piece is bigger than we need. We will end up cutting this down, but I'm just gonna add the interfacing for now before I cut everything down. And so from the back side, I just give it a light press to get that interfacing kind of started. And then you do need to press from the front of your linen to attach the interfacing for like kind of the most, so that it really makes, so you really make sure it sticks, you know? So I'll flip it over and then I just go really gently, because here I'm not really trying to press to get wrinkles out. I'm just trying to adhere the interfacing down. So I'm going really carefully around my little French knots, and then I'll just kind of lay the iron down. And this is just to make sure that my interfacing is really adhered. So let's go back to the cutting table and we'll get this cut out to the right size for our spool. Okay, so for my tutorial, I am using this scissor spool that was made by Pete's Bee Skeps. And so if you're using the same one, you can use the same dimensions that I'm using here. But if you have a different size spool for a different type of finish, really what you want to know is what the circumference of your spool is. So grab a measuring tape, figure that out, and then compare it to the size of your cross stitch piece. So since I've already done that, I know I can measure my existing one to remind myself how long my tiny towel needs to be. So let's see here. So it looks like mine finished at 11, and then I added some binding. So yeah, okay. Yeah, so basically I left a 1/2 inch on each side to allow for adding binding and the loop closure. So I am going to add a 1/2 inch on each side, and I believe top and bottom as well. Yep, so I just used a 1/2 inch margin on top and bottom as well as side to side. So I'm just making sure that my 1/2 inch line is just below the bottom of the stitches and nice and straight all the way across. And there are buttons, so I'm gonna hold the ruler very carefully because it's, you know, it could slip around on you, so just go slow and have patience with this when you're cutting up your cross stitch. Okay. And then I'm going to use the 1/2 inch line again, and I get to use the bottom of my ruler on the bottom of the linen, and then I'm making sure that I have a 1/2 inch, a solid 1/2 inch margin. And actually I might just do 5/8 because I did have a little bit of space that I could, yeah. So actually I'm gonna give myself 5/8 on the ends, just so I have a slight bigger margin on the ends of my piece, because my binding did go pretty close up to the edge of my stitching. So I'm gonna go 5/8 of an inch here. And then I'm gonna do a 1/2 inch margin across the top. Okay, and then I'm gonna leave 5/8 again on the far edge. Okay, so here is our finished cross stitch piece with our interfacing on the back. And so now we can cut out the extra fabric that we need to make this little finish. So what I want for the back is an identically sized piece of fabric out of our accent fabric. So mine measures 2 3/4 by 11 1/4. Okay, perfect. So that will end up being our backing. And so the next thing we need to cut out are these 2 little flange accent pieces. And the reason I sewed this together the way I did is because this spool, I didn't have a lot of extra height to layer fabric behind. I really only had about a 1/4 inch top and bottom. So I'll show you how I put this together, but first we're gonna cut out these little strips that get inserted into the top and bottom. Okay, so each one of the strips for top and bottom needs to be 1 inch wide. And the reason I cut these at 1 inch is so that we can fold them in half, which will leave us with a 1/2 inch piece of fabric. And then once sewn into our cross stitch finish with a 1/4 inch seam, you'll end up with a 1/4 inch of this fabric peeking out of the top. So our strips need to be 1 inch, and they need to be at least as long as our front and back pieces. So it's fine that they're a little extra long. We'll cut that off later. So that's that. And then the last thing we need to cut out is binding for the ends of our piece where we'll attach our elastic loops and our buttons. And so for these pieces, they need to be a slightly bigger size. Okay, so for the 2 binding strips on the end, I am going to cut strips that are 1 3/4 inches wide. So I'm just going to give myself a nice straight edge. And then I want 2 strips that are 1 3/4 inch wide. And we want these to be, let's see, at least 3 inches, but I want to add an extra inch because we're going to end up folding the ends in to not, to kind of cover a raw edge. So whatever the height of your finished cross stitch finish is, add a 1/2 inch on either side just to allow for folding. So I'm going to cut mine to be 4 inches long. And so then these are the pieces that will be my binding and my facings for my buttons and my elastic loops. So I think now we are ready to, well, first I'm going to press all these, and then let's go over to the sewing machine and I will show you how I put all of this together. Okay, so I took my 1 inch strips over to the ironing board and I just pressed them in half. And now we're going to assemble the kind of main body of the finish by sewing these 2 pieces right sides together. But we're also going to add in this little flange into the seams. Let me show you how this goes together. So I'm going to lay the folded 1 inch strip with the raw edges on the outside. And then I'm going to lay the backing piece right side down over the top. And I'm going to get some wonder clips to pin everything in place. Okay, and so I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew this long side into place. Okay, and now we'll do the other long side and make sure everything is nice and lined up. Okay, so now that we have this little tube sewn together on 2 sides, we're going to turn this right side out. And I'm just going to go slow and be gentle with it so I don't damage my stitching. And so we definitely need to take this over to the ironing board and press it, but you can see how we end up with our nice little tiny town with this cute, colorful flange border on it. It's gonna be so cute. Let me grab the spool and I'll show you. So just do a little dry fit here, and you can see it's like the perfect height, and we'll finish the edges and create our little closure. But first, let's take this over to the ironing board and give this a nice press. Okay, so what I want to do is iron this nice and flat and make sure that these kind of flange pieces are pulled out tightly and pressed into place. So I'm going to just start on one end. And again, I'm just going to be careful around my buttons and my French knots and try not to smash anything down too bad. But, you know, I am ironing directly onto my stitches. So here is our cross stitch finished with the flange. So I am going to grab my scissors and trim off these little lingering pieces here. So now we need to add our last two pieces of binding and our elastic cording. So for these pieces, I am going to go ahead and iron these in half. And then I'm going to do, open it up and iron the edges into the center, and that's going to create a double fold bias tape. Well, it's not bias because we cut it straight grain, but you know, a double fold binding, I should say. I'll just let my clapper sit on that and keep it nice and flat while I iron the second one. So we'll take this and our two binding pieces over to the sewing machine. Okay, so I am just going to double check the fit on my cross stitch finish. And let's see, this one is a little bit closer. So I added an extra 1/8 inch on each side. And so this will be, yeah, I think that's totally gonna be fine. We'll just leave like a little 1/2 inch gap. I think on the other one I ended up with like maybe a, let's see, how big is the gap on this one? Oh, it's almost the same. Yeah, so it's really only about a 1/4 inch bigger. So I like that I left 5/8 inch on the edge. So it'll just be a tiny bit smaller, but it'll still fit on the same way. Okay, so let's cut out our elastic loops, and because we'll need those when we bind this side. And so actually, let me make sure I know exactly how far apart this will be. Okay, so this is about 3/4 of an inch apart. So that means I need at least 1.5 inches. So when I fold it in half, I get the 3/4 inch. Plus I need some extra to go inside the binding. So I'll add an extra 1/4 inch for that. So an extra 1/2. So I'm gonna cut these loops at 2 inches. So on this side, we are going to attach our elastic loops. And so we're going to start off by doing the same thing where we lay our binding 1 inch over on each side. And so straight across where that fold is. I did try a version of this earlier where I sewed the elastic loops behind the binding, but when you folded it forward, it really didn't look good from the front. And so I'm gonna end up, so I took it apart so I could show you a different way to attach the binding or the elastic. I'm gonna attach the elastic actually the same way I did it on my Valentine one, which is just with the raw edges showing on the back side, because honestly this back side's up against the spool and it makes everything lay nice and flat from the front. So that's what I care about the most. You can definitely experiment with ways to hide the raw ends of your elastic, but I am just going to let them show on the back. And so what we're going to do by doing that is we're going to flip around to the front. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the other side where I fold my binding in, making sure it's nice, folded nice and tight up against the bottom so we don't have a lot of overhang. And I'm just gonna fold into the center and fold across the binding. So what I'm gonna do to place my elastic is I'm gonna measure an inch in. Well, I think I'll do 3/4 of an inch in from each edge. So let me just adjust my little clip here so I can see what I'm doing. And let me measure in 3/4 of an inch. I'm just gonna put a light little dot right there with my pen. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold my little elastic loops in half. And I'm gonna lay them right where I made my little marks. And I'm gonna use my clip to clip it right where I wanna sew it. So I'm gonna very carefully hold my finger here so this doesn't move out of place, but I need to move the clip in order to be able to sew. And I'm just gonna back stitch to reinforce over those little elastic loops. Oh no. Okay, well, I managed to not get my elastic sewn on all the way, so I will just add another seam right on top of it. I was trying to avoid it just so it would look a little bit neater on the front, but that's okay. I am just going to add, actually, I'm going to use my 1/4 inch foot for this, and I'll tell you why. I'm using my 1/4 inch foot to sew this on because it has such a small opening. Sometimes with this little elastic, it gets stuck on the needle and the needle will yank it up through the sewing machine foot. And so I'm hoping with my 1/4 inch foot, which has a smaller opening, it won't pull the elastic up through the foot and it'll be a little bit easier to sew on. So let's see how this works. Perfect. So basically I was trying to avoid having to have a little extra seam on the front, but I think it was needed to attach this elastic so that it's secure on there, and I don't think it'll be super noticeable. This is going to be on the back side of the spool anyways. So let me do the same thing to this other piece of elastic. Okay, so now that we have the elastic on nice and securely, we will mark for our buttons and attach our buttons. And I like to use a 5/16 inch button. These are just some $1.99 pack from Hobby Lobby. And I like this kind of translucent clear color because I kind of feel like it goes with everything. So I just got, you know, a 12 pack of these, and I'll probably use them on all of my little spool finishes. Okay, let's try this and see how it fits. Fingers crossed. Okay, so that is my spool finish. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. My email's down below too if you want to email me. If you have like a complicated question and you want to show pictures or you want me to send you some pictures, email me. That's the kind of easiest way for me to respond. Trying to think if I left anything out of that video. I probably did. I'm just going to show you. So I'm just unhooking the little elastic loops here so I can show it to you off the spool. So here is what it ends up looking like when it's finished. And as you probably saw in the little tutorial, I ended up just sewing the elastic loops on without them being hidden. I had tucked them up into this binding, but it pulled weird. Like it just didn't look good when I tried to button it together. So I ended up just attaching them so you can see the raw edges. But once it's on the spool, I think it looks totally fine. So that is my little blooming tiny town. And then just as a reminder, here is what my little Valentine's one looked like. And so I think they came out to the exact same size. Yeah, look at that. I'm so good. So I'm just super, super happy with these, and I'm going to do all the tiny towns. So I will definitely have an opportunity to film a better tutorial at some point, but I think you should have got, the gist from what I did film. I think I'm like harder on myself than I need to be. So I'm sure it was probably fine, but I don't know. Anyways, I finished this one last weekend and I have been enjoying it ever since. I'm just buttoning the little loops back on, and I absolutely love this finish. I just think it works so well. Super cute. And I think I will probably display these. Where am I pointing? You see where my monthly wordplay is right here. I'll probably end up displaying my little spool with the seasonal pieces right there. So anyways, that's Tiny Town. Okay, and then since I'm doing this format and style of video, I have one more FFO to show you guys. But as I'm recording this, it's not FFO'd yet. I'm gonna let you watch me FFO it. This video might be 100 years long. I don't know. Can't wait to find out with the rest of you. But the piece that I am gonna fully finish is Elizabeth Wood by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I stitched this, I think in like maybe August or September last year. And I ordered a frame online. So I like art2frames.com, and I'll link that down below. They don't have the best selection of moldings. They have a large selection, but not anything super unique or interesting. I don't want to say it that way. Like they have some unique and interesting ones, but just not a wide range. So I always go and look and see what they have and see if they have anything that I think will work. But I don't know, it can be hit or miss on like the kind of frame moldings you can find on there. But what I like about them is that the frames come really nice quality, pre-assembled super quickly. Like I ordered this frame and it came in like a week and a half. So that's awesome for custom, and you can do any size you want. And so I got this frame. Oh, excuse me. I already took it apart. I got foam board with it. And I chose to do no glass on this one because this frame I think was around $30 custom sized with the foam board, but to add the museum quality glass, like the non-reflective glass, it was like an extra $50. And so I was like, you know what, this one doesn't need glass. I get questions sometimes about like why I frame things with glass or without, and sometimes it's just cost. If for some reason at Michael's, adding that glass doesn't usually add a lot to my frame order, so I always get the museum glass at Michael's. But on Art2Frames, it's like really expensive to get the nice glass, so I just don't get glass. So anyways, this is the frame I'm using. This is the piece I'm framing. So yeah, I'm gonna work on framing that now and I'll let you watch. Okay, while I was cleaning off my desk to frame, I found my little chart. So this is the Blooming Tiny Town chart by Heart and Hand, in case you hadn't seen it. Okay, so I'm gonna work on framing Elizabeth Wood. Not sure if I mentioned, but I did stitch this one on a 40 count Mocha Zweigart with, what did I use? Schoolhouse Red Gloriana, 1/2. So let me get all my supplies set up and I'm gonna start framing. So one thing I like to do at the start is check the fit of the foam board, because I like to buy the foam board custom cut with the frame. But this foam board is like, fits really tight in there. So once you wrap the fabric around, it's gonna be really hard to get the foam board in here. So I'm gonna trim this down just a little bit so it's easier to assemble later. So all I'm doing is taking about 1/8 of an inch off the edge. And so now you can see how much easier that fits in there with a little space. And so that'll just allow me to fit it in there better when I'm framing. So, okay, now I'm gonna get some batting on my mat board and then I'm gonna start pinning. Okay, so now I've got my foam board all covered with a nice layer of 100% cotton batting. Let me get this pressed and yeah, we'll start pinning. Okay, so since this has such a strong, straight outside border, I want this to be mounted really straight on my foam board, because if it's not, you know, you'll see it if the border isn't straight. So what I'm gonna do is measure the exact size of my foam board and figure out how far, like how big of a margin I have. And I'm gonna mark that margin really clearly so that I can pin everything exactly how I want it. I've seen where people run a thread, like kind of a running stitch through their margin to get it exact on the linen line. I think I'm just gonna use my fabric marker for this, but we'll see as I start working on it. I'll let you know. This is a friction pin that I'm using, so this erases with heat, even though I won't really need to because it'll be inside the frame, but this pin is erasable. So I'm also putting some center marks on each side, and that way, because that's what I do first, is I always pin the centers. So I'm just marking those points to make it easier for me. And I'm gonna mark these same center lines on my foam board. I use 1/2" sequin pins to pin my cross stitch to foam board. Just making sure everything's nice and lined up, and I'm gonna start with the centers and then I'll work on the rest of it. Okay, so at this point I have everything pinned. It's all positioned correctly, but you can probably see the borders are a little wavy, mostly this bottom one. There's like a spot up here and a spot here. This side looks pretty good. And so I'm gonna show you how I adjust to kind of even out the border. So I'm gonna start with this spot right here where it dips down a little. So I'm gonna just find the pin where it dips. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you this on camera. Yeah, I want this pin, and so I'm gonna take it out. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing, but basically I'm just gonna be pulling slightly tighter and kind of evening out the border so that it lays nice and straight. And I'll add in extra pins if I need in between where I already have them, and see how that straightens out that border. I might fix this one right here. And so this border seems to kind of dip a little right here, so I'm gonna adjust some of these. And like right here, if it kind of humps up, then you need to release the fabric tension a little bit to let it lay a little bit flatter. So I'll just release some of the pressure right there and loosen the fabric. And then you can see that smooths itself out. Okay, so I think it looks good. I'm gonna dry fit it. Well, this bottom might need a little bit more work. One second. Okay, and so now I'm gonna dry fit it in the frame and see how it looks. And so I'm just checking for any obvious bubbles. It seems like the bottom still needs a tiny bit of help. But otherwise I think it's looking really cute. Okay, almost done. I use acid-free tape just to stick the back of my fabric down to my foam board. Nothing fancy. It will not be seen when it's all finished up inside that frame. This is double-sided. I just don't peel off the other side. Yeah, just what I like to use. To finish off the back of my frame, I'm just going to use a piece of scrapbook paper. That blue one's cute. Doesn't really have to match, but you know, let's see what I have. I'm going to use this white and red. This is like almost cardstock thickness, so I really like to use this on the back of my frames. So let me just measure how big to cut it. Okay, my double-sided tape doesn't seem to want to work, so I'm just going to use a little bit of tacky glue. Okay, I'm going to give this some time to dry, and then I'll be able to add my little sawtooth hanger up here, just straight through the paper into the wood. And then Elizabeth wood is all framed. How cute is that? And nice, cheap little frame. I'm just noticing there's a nick here. Oh well, it's fine. Custom framing can get so expensive, and I am happy to save a few bucks and do it myself and get, you know, maybe not as nice of a frame if you went to a frame store to get it custom done in person, but that's okay. I love the way it looks, and this will go right up on my sampler wall as soon as it dries and I get the little hanger on. So that is my second FFO of the video. Okay, hi. I'm back to check on my little framed Elizabeth wood. I think it's good. I think there's a couple places. Let's look at it in the camera. It looks pretty good on camera, right? Okay, I need to stop being so nitpicky. Looks good. Backing is all nice and glued down and protected. And I made a little mark right where I want to attach my sawtooth hanger. So I'm just going to push that down into the center where my mark is and hammer it in place. That was probably just shaking the camera really bad, I bet. Anyways, now I have my little sawtooth and I can hang this on the wall. Woohoo! Okay, it's been a couple hours and Rob and I had to run out and do some shopping, and we got some lunch, and now I'm back home and can show you some more cross stitching. So I'm going to show you my finish, which was a start and a finish, and then I think I have two whips because WhipGo has taken over my entire life, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that, let's see, last night for me was Friday, the 24th. On Friday, I decided, let's see if I can finish this chart in one evening. And I started posting about it on my Instagram stories, and then very quickly realized it wasn't going to get done because my sisters wanted to hang out last night, which was great fun. But it meant I did not get a lot of stitching time last night. So I finished it up this morning, and that is Itch to Stitch by October House Fibre Arts. And here is what my finish looks like. It's so cute. So stinking cute. I use, let's see, 36 count Picture This Plus sand, and I used all of her called for colors, except I think I might have had to sub one or two. Yeah, I think I subbed a brown and a pink just with something similar. But otherwise I had all of them. And it calls for a lot of threads because pretty much every little spool is a different color and they're all over dyed so that you kind of get that like stripy, cool look. So this would be an easy one to change the colors of. So, like if I think, was it Jen? I think Jen and I were talking on Instagram the other day about how she was saying I would want to do it in blues. And so I think you would just pick super variegated different shades of your favorite blues. And then you could just easily swap out the colors on this. But I happen to love pinks. So I stitched mine in pink. I think it's super cute. 36 count, 1 strand over 2. Since I'm like doing this Flosstube like out of the ordinary, now I'm like in my head thinking, am I saying everything? What else do I need to tell them? Also, okay, so I'm like sitting in a different spot kind of, and I'm using the windows as light, which I think looks really nice because it's a good time of day to do this, but I'm just noticing that you can see my big tripod with ring light up there. That's where I was filming top down to show you guys my framing. Welcome to behind the scenes. Okay, let me grab my whips and I will probably switch to a different camera view because they're both huge. And this is actually one of the reasons I thought of doing a video this style. So let me grab them and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so my first whip is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. And the reason I wanted to film the video this way is so that I could kind of give you guys like a really good kind of in-depth look at these big whips, because sometimes I can hold them up and it can be a little hard to like talk about and show you guys like what I did. So I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun to film them this way. So I think when I last showed this to you 2 weeks ago, I had finished kind of everything up here, and then basically I added a few more strawberries and then mainly focused on this house. So I got a lot more of the house, more of the border, more of the border. Yeah, and this is where I leave it after 10 days of stitching. This was one of my March whip go pulls. And so I got 10 days in March and I'm super, super happy with my progress. I'm stitching mine on a 36 count Limestone Zweigart that I over dyed myself with all of Teresa's called for colors, 1 strand of floss over 2 linen threads. And yeah, super enjoying whip go. And actually, I'll talk about whip go in a minute when I'm facing the camera. I just wanted to show you my whips this way. So that's the first whip. Let me pull out my second whip go project. Okay, so my second whip go project of March was Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery. My largest whip by far. Second place is my Land That I Love sampler. So this one is first place though in terms of the size. And this one got 10 days in March, and I have completed those 10 days now. So I've completed both of my March whip go goals. I'm very excited. And here is what Consider the Lilies is looking like. I really hope this is a good angle for viewing whips. You guys will have to give me some feedback in the comments below on if this style of video was fun or distracting, or I don't know. Anyways, you guys can tell me. So this is Consider the Lilies. I had everything above the letters that was already previously stitched. Just do some little zoom arounds while I'm over here. And then I decided that I would focus my 10 days on this lower half. So I definitely had a few things, like I think I had this yellow, well actually I have a picture of what it looked like before I started stitching on it for 10 days. So let me put that on the screen. So that's what it looked like before I started doing my whip go goals. And this is what it looks like now. So I really got a lot done, I think, in the 10 days and had a lot of fun stitching on this. I am stitching mine on a 40 count R&R Winters or Beach? Let's find out together. Winter Brew. Okay, so this is a Winter Brew. So I used 40 count and I used all of her called for flosses, 1 strand over 2. And yeah, I mean, this is just so fun to work on because each little motif is just a fun, different little stitch. Nothing is the same except for the border, which is why, you know, I'm lagging behind on my border. I probably should have done 2 more flowers while I was down there, but that's okay. I'll get them done at some point. But yeah, that is Consider the Lilies, and I'm really, really happy to have that goal checked off the list. And actually both of these samplers, this one and Land That I Love, will come back later this year for another 10 days. So they'll get a lot more progress. Hopefully, you know, maybe I can get maybe over here, maybe at least past the center, and then I'll have half of this sampler, this giant sampler done. That'd be awesome. So yay. And so what I wanted to say about Whip Go is that one, I have been super, super, super enjoying it. More than I thought I would. I really like the goal. I like seeing a lot of progress on my stuff. I like checking it off the list. So I'm enjoying Whip Go way more than I thought I would, but it's made me kind of obsessive about my stitching. And so even though my goals are like stitch on it for 10 days, and to me, a day is whatever I have time for to stitch in a day. And that can vary. It can be a couple hours on a busy work day. It can be several hours on a not busy weekend, right? So to me, I'm not even setting like, must work on this for 10 hours a week or whatever, you know. I think that some people do. I am just saying a day. And so for me, that could just be an hour. You know, it doesn't have to be a whole day, but like I keep putting in like crazy long hours on these Whip Go projects. And like, it's been kind of, I've been obsessive with it. And I think it's a good thing because I'm getting things done, but it's also kind of getting in the way of me crafting other things, namely sewing. I started a quilt along on February 1st with Liz Matthews, and have I made any progress in the last 2 weeks? I haven't. So anyways, I'm like a total failure at the quilt along. And my stitching has just become like, you know, all I want to focus on. So I'm just letting it ride, and I'm just saying it out loud. I can't believe I'm so bad at quilt alongs, but a lot of you aren't. There is a lot of gorgeous versions of Starstruck 2 being made. And I'm going to put a few pictures up right here for you guys to see. Definitely go over to Instagram, check out the hashtag. People are doing amazing stuff. I will have mine done at some point, but I thought it might be the end of March. End of March is next week, so that goal is not going to happen, but I'm trying to let myself, like, basically, I guess what I wanted, I think I referenced this earlier in the day where I said I was going to call this Elizabeth Ann Can Fail, because at the start of the year, I told you guys about my Whip Go and what I was, you know, going to focus on cross stitch wise, and I decided that I would also set a goal for quilting where I would finish or start and finish, like either finish a whip or start and finish a new project every single month. And January went great. I made a table runner. Really set myself up for success with January. And then February, I decided to do a whole dang queen size quilt of tiny 6-inch blocks. And I fell apart. And so what I've decided is that I need to stop putting so much pressure on myself and stop stressing myself out about not keeping up with something I created, like a stitch along that I created that like, it doesn't matter. Like this is not my job. I have to remember that like, this is my hobby. This is for fun. And so anyways, I'm relieving myself of the pressure of having to get a quilt project done each month because it's just not happening and it's making me mad at myself. And I don't want to feel that way. So I'm just like axing that goal, saying it publicly, that I'm just going to move on from that goal and continue to work on stuff when I want to, on the quilt side. And then maybe next year I'll give Whip Go a break, and maybe then I'll focus like on quilt goals where I get obsessive about those and stitching fills in the in-between times, right? So I think trying to set those 2 big goals for the year was a little ambitious. So anyways, relieving myself of that goal. So that's all that to say, like, I don't have any sewing projects to show you this week because I haven't sewed in 2 weeks. Just been really, really, really into stitching Consider the Lilies. And then I finished my 10 days on Thursday, and that's why on Friday I decided, oh, I'm gonna start Itch to Stitch. I kind of want to say what it's for. I don't know if you're allowed to or not. It's for a smalls exchange. That's why I stitched it. So I need to finish it. So I have it to take to my next stitching retreat, which is Stitch North, at the end of April. And I am so excited about it. I have been DMing with some friends who are also going to be there, you know, making all kinds of plans and just in general getting very, very excited to go to a retreat. So yes, that's kind of what I'm focused on right now. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, my failure at sewing. But oh yeah, and that's what made me start thinking about the retreat, because I really want to make myself a new retreat bag, because I made that beautiful I just call my stuff beautiful. I made that beautiful bag. It was a by Annie weekender bag. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it up on the screen, and I'll put the picture of my bag that I made because I don't have it in here. But this is the bag I made, and I made it originally as a retreat bag for my first retreat at Quilter Station. And it's great, but it is very much like big carry-on, like duffel bag size. And so it's a little bit too bulky to want to like carry it every day, like into the retreat center. I want something like, I want like a tote bag that holds like a laptop, project bags, and like a few specific things. So anyways, I have been Pinteresting some patterns and ideas, and I kind of think I need to just make it up, because exactly what I want I don't think really exists. So I'm gonna kind of probably combine a few different patterns. Like I bought one that I really liked, but I want to change it a little bit. So anyways, hopefully I will be sewing over the next couple of weeks, because I really want to work on that travel bag, like kind of tote bag. So yeah, those are, I guess, my sewing plans for right now. Trying to think of what else I was going to show you in this video. Oh yeah, so I have Happy Mail and haul, some really fun stuff in there to show you, and then we'll do giveaways. So I'll probably wait and do those later in the evening, and if anything else fun comes up during my day, I'll take you along with me. But yeah, okay, see you in a minute for Happy Mail and haul.
Come here. Hi. Hi. Where's your Jonesy? There he is.
Okay, let's do some Happy Mail, because I've got some really fun stuff in the mail this week. Well, over the past couple of weeks, including something that I forgot to include in last two weeks ago's video. So let me do that right now. It was from Marie, who won one of my giveaways recently, and she lives semi close to me. I think you're down near San Antonio, right, Marie? And she mailed me this sweet little thank you note and package, and she crocheted me, let me take them out of the package so you can see them. She made me and Rob these car coasters. So they're crocheted, and then they have a little like felt backing sewn on to the back with some more yarn. Super cute. So she gave me two and Rob two. So thank you, Marie. Love them. And then I got a very amazing, hilarious thank you gift from Debbie, who sent me this. Debbie also won one of my recent giveaways. I think it must have been the video where I did, what was it? Was it my 100th video? It must have been my 100th video. And so she lives in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and she sent me a giant Hershey kiss. And when this showed up to the door, I saw, like, I pulled into the driveway and I saw there was a package on our door. And so I asked Rob to grab it, and I asked him what it was from or who it was from. And he said Hershey's. And I really did think for a minute that I had just like ordered candy online and forgotten about it, because that kind of sounds like something I would do. But no, this was from Debbie and I love it. And I did Google, I'm like, how do I even eat this? Like, can I eat this? Is this decorative? You can eat them. And I watched a YouTube video showing how to break it apart, but I had to leave it intact for the video. So anyways, thank you, Debbie. And then, okay, I have a big box. I was like, what else do I have? I have two more Happy Mail things. So I got, I try not to spill it. I got this big old box in the mail from Nancy, I believe. Let me look up her name real quick because I am forgetting. Yes, it was from Nancy. Here's her sweet card. She had messaged me, it was a while ago, before December, because it was the last time that Rob and I went to South Bend to visit his family. And we always go to LaPorte to House of Stitches to do a little cross stitch shopping. Jonesy has decided to join me on the table and try to crawl inside this box. Anyways, she had messaged me and asked if she could bring me some things to House of Stitches that she wanted to give me. And I let her know that if it was like volume wise, like small, she could. I was like, but I just have like, you know, I carry on like in a suitcase. So I was like, I might not be able to take much back with me. So anyway, so she mailed me a box and just like the most generous. I'm gonna go through all these and figure out which ones I wanna stitch, which ones maybe my mom or my sisters might wanna stitch. And then I will definitely be doing giveaways because look at this goodness that she sent me. I'll show you a couple. I haven't organized them into favorites, but like there are so many drawn threads in here. Super pretty. Sorry, I don't have my ring light in here in the dining room, so the light might not be that great. And then some of them, like this one, are shepherd's bush kits that have the fabric and the floss. I love this one. This one is the Old Glory. Yeah. So Nancy, thank you for all these wonderful, amazing shepherd's bush. You know, I was talking to you guys about wanting to do, I actually have it right here, this 10 count, and I might pick one of these shepherd's bush to try on the 10 count. So anyways, I'm gonna have fun digging through. I've already gone through them like once, but I need to go back through and like sort again and invite my mom over to come look through everything. So I can make sure, oh, this is cute too. Oh my God. I'm distracting myself. Look at this little scissor fobs. And it's like all kitted up. Oh my gosh. Nancy, thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me set this aside. And then I have one more. Ooh. My piles are precarious. Okay. No, I have two more things. Okay, I'll insert a picture. Note to self, go take a picture so you can insert it. Annie, the proper stitcher, asked me for my address a couple of weeks ago, and I said sure. And in the mail, she sent me this super cute little card with like personalized stationery, and she made me a floss ring with like a little cute bunny on it that said like, you know, happy spring. And I just immediately put it to use, which is why I realized it's not sitting right here. My little itch to stitch that I showed you guys earlier, I put all the flosses for that yesterday on that floss ring. And so anyways, you saw it. I put a picture up. Thank you, Annie. It was so cute. And I might have to try to make them. She was saying that she makes them herself. She just gets the supplies off Amazon. So I might have to go look into that because I really do like a cute decorative floss ring. So thank you, Annie. Okay, and then I just have one more thing, which is some goodies from the Fat Quarter Shop. So they send me some of their new items to review or share with you guys. So let me show you what's in here. Okay, the first thing, I am so excited about this book. I was just watching their trunk show of all these quilts on the Fat Quarter Shop's quilting channel. They do a Friday live stream and they did a trunk show of all of the quilts in this book. And they said that they're going to do a trunk show of all of the cross stitch in this book on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think Wednesday is their Flosstube day, right? So it should be on Wednesday. So this is a book called Summer Memories by Susan Aki, and it has, I think, like 10 quilts and 10 cross stitch designs. Let me see if it says it right up at the front. Oh, it looks like maybe there's only like 7 or 8 quilts and then like 10 cross stitch pieces. So, but they're all just like gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous quilts. And the Fat Quarter Shop is going to do a stitch along or a quilt along. I'm trying to remember. I think it's like the Baskets quilt. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick to show you. Yes, this one. It's called the Summer Picnic Quilt. Let me see if I can find a big picture of it. Yeah, there you go. So the Summer Picnic Quilt is what the Fat Quarter Shop is going to be doing a stitch along or a quilt along for soon. But my favorite one in here, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so my favorite was actually this Lazy Afternoon quilt. I really like the low volume, but still kind of like colorful prints with kind of the accent of the stars. So I think that might be one I want to do. Yeah. I mean, they're all really good. Definitely go watch the Fat Quarter Shop's Flosstube if you want to see like the full trunk show. This is the other, well, okay. So the other one I just showed you is probably the one I'm most likely to make, but this is probably my actual favorite quilt. I just don't know if I'll actually make it because it's a little more complicated and uses partial seams, as they were explaining in Kimberly's video. So it's super pretty. I think it's called Fireworks Quilt. And so you can kind of see what the layout looks like. And so it's like 4 flags, kind of almost like in a log cabin or a pinwheel type thing. It's super cute. So I am really, really excited to have this book and to make some fun stuff out of it. They also sent me 2 of their new quilting patterns. So this one is called Autumn Skies. And then this one is Freesia. Beautiful. And they then sent me another new quilt pattern that I was very, very excited to get. And it's the new Lori Holt Vintage 2-Color Quilt pattern. And so it's a really simple 1-block quilt that uses basically 2 shades of a color and a background to create this look. And I love it in this red and pink. And then they also show you on the back of the pattern, like a bunch of other different color combinations you could use and like fabric suggestions out of Lori's fabrics. So excellent quilt pattern. And then they sent me a couple of cross-stitch charts. So the new Chicken Club, this is number 2 out of 12, and this is Florence. Really cute. And then the new February Stackables. Well, I guess this is last month's Stackables. But yes, February Stackables, really super cute. I like the little lovebirds. So I will have links to everything from Fat Quarter Shop listed down below. If you're interested in any of these items, they're all for sale on their website right now. Thank you, Fat Quarter Shop. Okay, so for haul, I just have a little. I bought a pattern online and I actually forgot to show it in my last video. So I'm just catching up on everything this video. And that is the, is it called Spill the Tea? I'll put the image up here. It's by Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, Julie, and her brand is Hemlock and Rye Stitchery. And she participated in X Stitch the Rainbow, which is that Treenway Silks and designer collaboration. And this was her entry into Tea Time. And I absolutely loved it. Like I had made a joke to Liz Matthews like months ago about how the only kind of tea I like is like tea, like gossip, like joking, because I just don't drink tea. And so when I saw Julie's pattern, I was like, yes, must have. So I went to her Gumroad, bought it. I'll link it down below if you're interested. It's a super cute pattern. And I tried to get the Treenway Silks at Market, but they were sold out by the time I was able to get into the room, which was totally fine. You know, the shops were there to buy those first. So I haven't bought them online yet, but Julie just showed her finish of Spill the Tea, and she used the DMCs and they look great. So I think I'm just going to pick up the DMCs. And if I'm going to just pick up DMCs and not do the called for, maybe I'll even change my colors a little bit and make them like pinkier or redder. Anyways, I just think it's super cute. So I had to get it. And the only other, I think, I could be wrong, but I think this is the literally only other piece of haul that's come in the last 2 weeks. I guess I could like go back and check my like emails for what I've ordered, but I'll just pretend I think this is the only thing. And I literally haven't even opened it. So one sec. I got my NPI Floss Club for March, right? Say March? It doesn't say it on it. Oh yeah, March 2023. Yeah. And so it's the pistachio green NPI silks. Sorry for the glare. I'm not sure where to hold things without this ring light. I just have my dining room light. But anyways, those are the flosses, and I think that's all the haul. So let me pull some giveaway winners and grab the giveaway charts. And yes, I'm sure everybody skipped ahead to this giveaway part to see if they won, because there were a lot of entries in the giveaway on the last video. Thank you guys all so much for the love on the last video and the market video. Yeah, I think I've gotten I don't know how I could keep getting new subscribers. I feel like new cross stitchers must be coming to YouTube because I feel like, I don't know. But anyways, there's new people here off of those last 2 videos. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers, so welcome. And yeah, let me pull giveaways and announce some winners. Okay, I pulled the giveaway winners. So these were from Nashville Newark Markets. These are all, I think these are all brand new charts. Or maybe they're not brand new. They're brand new to me. Some of them might not be new releases, but here we go. Little Women, the chart by Alicia Paulson. This goes to Liz P. Love Boats by Art of Design. This goes to Pat Fortner. Quick note about Love Boats. Shiloh, X-Stitch MD, and I decided that we're going to start this at Stitch North next month. So if anyone wants to join in, when will that be? The weekend of April 28th, 29th? That's when we're starting it. I did an overdye conversion. I don't remember if I posted that to my stories or not. I'm sure I'll post it at some point or talk about it on a video. And this is, I think, a color in cotton fabric that I didn't have. So I do have blush pink Zweigart that's a lot lighter than this that I might use. I also might use a neutral. But then Shiloh told me that she ordered, or that she was going to use Charlotte's Pink by Weeks Dye Works as her fabric. So I found some on Etsy to order. So I might use that too. I don't know. Basically, I ordered 3 new pink fabrics on Etsy and we'll see what I end up using. And it might be neutral, so who knows? But anyways, Love Boats. Oh, and if I didn't say it to start with, if you hear your name and you see your screen name, this is your YouTube screen name that you'll see up here. My email address is in the description box below. It's ElizabethAnnCanFail@gmail.com. And if you won, just email me, let me know what you won. I'll go back and validate and verify and send you an email and get your address so that I can send you your charts. So that was number 2. Number 3 is Itch to Stitch, the one I just finished. Maybe I should have pulled 2 winners. No, that's okay. I'm gonna stitch this again for myself. I'm gonna keep my chart. Never mind. But the winner of this chart is Julie Kelsey. So Julie, you won Itch to Stitch. And then next is Honey Fair by October House Fiber Arts. And this one goes to D. Johnson. Then we have Strawberry Manor by Teresa Kogut. And this one goes to Helga Artale. Helga, this one's yours. Then number 6 was Egg Collector by Teresa Kogut. And Egg Collector goes to the Scandinavian Stitcher. This one's yours. Next up, number 7 was Apple Mint Tea by my friend, hello from Liz Matthews. And this one goes to Deb Morrison. Then we have some Blackbird designs, Birds of a Feather, and this one goes to Barbara Chase. United We Stand by Blackbird Designs. This one goes to Sharon Walker. And then I had 2 fat quarters of 18 count Mint Ada by Atomic Ranch. And these go to YT's mom and Jane Braverman. So ladies, email me if you want your fabric. So that's all the giveaways. Thank you guys so much for watching and entering, and I will have more for you in upcoming videos because I've got a lot of charts and things to go through that Nancy sent me. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, we have now reached the Pajama Liz portion of my Saturday evening. I've got my Mariah Carey Christmas t-shirt on. The hair is going up. And I think I'm gonna say goodnight. This has been a weird video, right? So I hope you enjoyed it and it was fun. And who knows what I'll do for the next one, but maybe more normal. I don't know. Me and this high pony are gonna go watch some TV and stitch before bed. So thank you as always for watching and liking to hear me talk about cross stitch and quilting. I'll be back soon with more. Bye.